This is the story of Jonah. Jonah was a young G. Jonah lived in the streets. We didn't live in the streets as so much. He was a street cat, right? He liked women, gambling, making money, hanging out on the weekends, drinking, smoking, right? He wasn't a street hood, but he was just a guy that was kept living kind of laissez-faire, living Hakuna Matata. So Jonah, in his wisdom, right? Jonah was a fisherman. That's how he earned his money. So Jonah had a calling from God. And in the story, Jonah, having this calling from God, he ignored it. He ignored it so that he could drink. He ignored it so that he could smoke. He ignored it so that he could gallivant and peruse lots of women and drink and wear nice clothes and simply ignore life and really the responsibilities of manhood and adulthood, and simply live Hakuna Matata. So Jonah was receiving messages that he needed to become a fisher of men. Jonah ignored these messages. Jonah one day went out to sea and fish after ignoring these messages for years upon years. He went out, normal day, weather looked nice, waters were nice, there were no problems, nothing was rocky. And Jonah's out on the sea with his fellow fishermen. Now Jonah and the fishermen were out not too far from the sea. In fact, they never ventured too far out because you never know what was out there in the deeper waters. And besides, they didn't even need to go that far to catch fish and fresh hauls for the day. So this particular day, though, the waters were crazy. And this was after they left the shore and everything was okay. But the waters became crazy and the waters tidaled and tossed Jonah into the middle of the sea. And in the middle of the sea, they started tossing and turning and the boat got rockier and rockier, right? So the older men on the boat, in their infinite wisdom, the older fishermen, they casted lots. This is what's in the Bible. It's called casting lots. Now, casting lots is the same thing as doing a tarot reading, right? Doing water divination, mirror divination, doing oracle readings, right? Doing I Ching readings, right? Some sort of consulting. Also, the Bible has the Urim and the Thummim as another divination system. So what they call this divination system, or this accessing or communicating with the unseen or communicating with the divine self, this was called casting of lots. So they casted these lots. And they found out, and they all casted lots amongst each other, and the lots came back that it was Jonah that was causing the problem on the boat. Now the story goes that Jonah was thrown off the boat, right? Or Jonah jumped into the ocean, right, to save the men. Either way, he got his ass up out the boat. So Jonah, now going into the ocean, gets swallowed up by a giant whale. Okay. Now this is the part of the story that is ridiculous, that is in the Bible. You cannot survive inside of a giant whale for 3 days. The stomach acids of a whale are going to destroy you in less than an hour. So there's no way a human being with flesh could survive inside the whale, inside the stomach of a whale, inside the belly of a whale. But this is the story in the Bible. This story goes that Jonah gained wisdom while sitting in the belly of a whale. And he started communicating to God and humbling himself and being grateful for the things that he had in life. And he asked God, he said, God, why have you forsaken me? What am I doing that's wrong? And God told him, you have a mission to become fishers of men. So God bestowed this upon him again. He said, do you accept your mission? And Jonah said, yes, I accept my mission. And once he accepted his mission during that 3-day stint, he shot himself out of the belly of the whale. Now, the esoteric meaning of this story, this allegory, has nothing to do with a human being sitting inside of the stomach of a whale. That's stupid. The meaning of this particular story is Jonah, are you living a life that is carefree? Is it directionless? Does it have no real goal or no real purpose? And if it does have a purpose, is that purpose fulfilling to you, mind, body, and soul? Or is it just a simple way to survive? And if it is a simple way to survive for now, how can you use that simple way to survive to use that as a launching pad into another way to strive? So energy is what we do with it. Energy is always infinite and always around us. But the utilization of energy is up to us. So Jonah was utilizing his energy to live a life of just base needs, his carnal needs, engaging in his animal nature. And while there's nothing wrong with that from time to time, you do have a mission here to expand. The universe expands, the trees expand, the animals expand, the things we eat expand, the things we want expand, our desires expand. So why do we not want others to expand? That is the great story, right, from the so-called prophet of Galilee, the Nazarene. Treat thy neighbor as thyself is the greatest law. So the story of this allegory of Jonah being in the whale was about a person that is not taking the time to go within themselves through meditation, through prayer, through isolation, through sitting in nature, sitting in rain, sitting by grass, engaging with the elements, taking walks, taking rides to beautiful places, being around oceans, engaging in your natural element that corresponds to your sun. For instance, me being a Scorpio, water is my element. You got to know your element. You have to know who you are. That's more important than knowing Cardi B's birthday and if Cardi B and Offset broke up. Way more important. Do you know your element? Do you know what crystals work for you? Do you understand that you have crystals in your TV and crystals in your phone? So for you to dismiss crystals when you are essentially have crystalline structures within your body is foolish. When you are looking at a phone that deals with a crystal in here, a quartz crystal. Quartz crystals, in fact. So do you truly know thyself? And sometimes you need to take those 3 days. Don't take quarantine for granted. Don't take the lessons of quarantine for granted. A lot of people came out of quarantine worse instead of better. But you still have the opportunity to go in those 3 days in the belly of your own whale, which is basically the subconscious mind, which is basically the inner you, which is basically the darkness within, and do that shadow work and have those conversations with the God within, with your ancestors, with your spirit team. Communicate with thyself, and thyself with the answers, because all your ancestors live within. They're in your bloodline. They're in your DNA. No scientist could tell you that that's not true, that you don't have your ancestors' DNA within you. So that means you have greatness within you. But you have to harness it, and you have to pull it up. And then you have to shoot yourself up out the well and go and become a fisher of men. And a fisher of men does not necessarily mean you saving people. That was Jonah's mission, right? And just by him having that story is enough to have a magnetic attraction. What's your story? What's your mission? What's going to come out of your well? What's the creation that you create once you are, after you go into meditation, after you do the rituals, after you do the prayers, after you get the readings, after you go to the counseling, after you go out to the retreats? What is the work after that? That's what really matters. When you are all alone and when there are struggles and when there are things to grapple with, what is the work then? And that's you shooting out of the belly of the whale. So that's the allegory of Jonah, the fisherman. Some information was changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Don't get in your own way. Now is the time to create your reality because the world is changing. Things are happening rapidly. Okay? There is a tendency for things to get crazier before it gets better, but in the end, through all the prophecies, we do win. So keep your head up. Keep focused. Get your intentions and your imagination right. And rise up out that well and make sure you're not living a life that has no direction, no goals, no future, no vision. Find out what your dreams are and follow them. Peace, power, prosperity. Rod Blackstone.